A treasonous administration and an ignorant Federal Reserve are destroying America. What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, June the 12th. And, well, maybe that's a big, bold statement, but certainly, if you look up the definition of treason, you could make a case that that's what this administration is doing. I think that you see the destruction of the country and the government from the inside out would be known as treason. And I think this is what we're witnessing in front of our very eyes. And of course, I'm not going to say the Fed is truly ignorant because maybe they're doing it on purpose. This is always the fine line, because certainly the administration is not stupid. The administration is dictating every step of this ridiculous garbage that we're dealing with on a daily basis. The Fed, I'm not sure, not so much. The Fed, with their interest rate policy and with their far expanded reach of what they cannot do, is really ridiculous and ignorant. Their policies are ignorant. Their stealing of American dollars is ignorant. And that's the central banks across the globe, which makes the fiat currency system the most fraudulent system in the world. But is it ignorance, or is that also done on purpose as well? So there's a fine line which we can't really decipher or determine at this time. But it's something to keep an eye on. And of course, the quote of the week comes from the FX chair. Actually, maybe it's a quote of the century. Okay. Janet Yellen, the moron, who said, "I didn't see this coming." Okay. Well, who could not see this coming? How dumb do you have to be to not see the inflation that was coming? We have talked about it on these airwaves for over a year. Okay. In fact, we go back to the election, okay, when Biden beat Trump and said that crude oil was going to the roof. Okay. And that is where we stand today. Okay. So who could not see this coming? You would have to be either a really criminal-based person, somebody who wanted to destroy the America that we know, or you'd have to be really dumb. It has to be one of the two. There is really no in between here. And of course, as they talk, the inflation is worse than expected. Really? Who is supposed to believe that inflation is worse than expected? This was the most telegraphed news coming maybe in my history, that the inflation was going to be brutal. Okay, that we were going to go much further than they thought. Okay, we got a hot CPI number. We'll call it hot. I don't know if you want to call it hot. Whatever you want to call it. We got a CPI number that was at 40-year highs, which was about 8.5%. Now, first of all, we have said here very much that you want to multiply that number by about 3.5%, by about 3. Okay, that'll give you what true inflation is. The CPI is ridiculous because it doesn't count a big portion of food and energy. And Americans, what do we use more often than not, except in the case of having to replace a major appliance? Oh, food and energy. So that's the biggest part of our budget. So now we sit here and we go, okay, so we've got this runaway inflation. Okay, we've got wages, which, they keep telling you how good the wages are, but they are not keeping up with inflation. Okay, so you're spending more, making less, which means that you're in a net negative position. Okay, so how are you going to ever get to the retirement area? Okay, and we got record highs in inflation. I don't know if we can go much higher. Okay, this is now again, you've got oil or gasoline at an average of $5 a gallon, and that's an average, which means that California is probably paying closer to the 8s in New York, and there's different places in the world, but I know in Illinois, we're paying over 5. Okay, so that is obviously one of our major expenses. You've got shortages in the grocery stores of food. If you can get it, look at what you're going to pay for it. Okay, so now we've got food and energy, okay, that are skyrocketing and only going to get worse. Okay. Then, of course, you've got President Biden, and again, I'm not going to blame, as dumb as he is, and he's been dumb for 47 years. Okay. I'm not going to blame him because I don't think he knows where he's at. But either the teleprompter writer or whoever is behind running this administration, okay, is now talking about price controls. Price controls do not work. Okay. Price controls are ridiculous. They're laughable and they're impossible to work. Why? Because, of course, if you're a producer of a good, you aren't going to go over price controls because you're not going to sell the goods at a loss based on what the government wants you to sell to put a control on that price. Number one. Number two, if you could go to price controls, who's going to subsidize it? Okay, are we going to subsidize it with what? With what money do we have to subsidize? We don't have money as it is. We are in so much deep debt, okay, that we're never getting out. Okay, so who's going to subsidize the suppliers, okay, if they go to price controls? It does not work. It is a dumb idea. Now that's dumb. Okay, that's a dumb idea. But of course, that is the way to Marxism, socialism, or communism, which is exactly what this treasonous administration wants to get to. Okay, 30-year mortgages are now 5.85%. Now, again, I just bitched about 8 weeks ago at 4.25%. Well, now we're at almost 6% and going higher. The rate of change is not gone away. We are continuing to run to a higher level. And I think that this is something that we have to remember, okay, and look at and say, okay, we're not going to get away from this. And we're going back to the era of the Jimmy Carter, the stagflation era. Okay, I've never seen this much violence in the United States of America. Now, I thought this was the big pitch of this party was the hatred that Donald Trump created. And of course, it's amazing. I have not talked to one person in the last few months that did not want to see Donald Trump reelected. And I'm talking about from all spheres, all classes of the world. And yet here we are in a mess. Okay. And of course, revolving consumer credit jumps again. Now, does that sound familiar? This is taking us back into yesteryear, those thrilling days of yesteryear. Okay. And you've got, the 2008 scenario rebuilding. The banks are already over leveraged. We've talked about this often. And I would bet that many could not pass a true audit. Okay. If you got consumers overloaded with debt once again, and what's going to happen when this all blows up? Okay. Who's going to get the opportunity to pay for it? Well, unfortunately, we, the middle class, are going to get that opportunity to pay for that. So we will get, as they say, more taxation without representation. Okay. Because, of course, debt is going to have to be settled. And they're still talking about waiving or relieving the student debt. Now, isn't that dumb? Okay. Where's it written that we should be forgiven for the debts that we create? Okay. They've already changed, 20 years ago, they changed the bankruptcy laws to limit how much you get bankrupt anyways. So now you're talking about, putting in another position. It just doesn't make sense. Okay. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, the fraudulent fiat currency system. This is a true race to the bottom. What does that mean? It means that central banks around the globe, okay, are devaluing their own currency for a number of reasons. One is to bring more money into the government so they can piss it away in even faster and dumber fashion. And two is to get to this worldwide global currency that they've got in mind that is part of the Great Reset, okay, which is, again, it would be treason. It would be many different things that you could name it. Okay. It is a severe problem. And that's the unfortunate part of what we've got here is we've got a lot of problems. Okay. And unfortunately, we don't have an administration that wants to fix the problems. They want to compound these problems and make it worse. Now, anybody who could possibly support what this administration doing is not a true American. Okay. Because if you're supporting what these IMBs are doing, okay, and their destruction of America, we have to question what side of the world are you on? I mean, are you a communist? Are you a Marxist? Okay, because no American capitalist would be happy with the actions that are being taken today in this current administration, in the current government that we have, that seeing that we have the ability to produce one of the great natural resources of the world, which is oil, fossil fuels, which if you are a climate change believer, which I am not, but again, if you are, at what cost do you want to create a fossil fuels? You want to destruct the overall economy. At what cost do you want to, protect against the environment change? It's not going to stop tomorrow. And based on current information, the fossil fuel project, the green energy project, is about a 40-year project. So should we destroy America today for something that we're going to try to get done in 40 years, which is not even reality? Okay, especially when you have China and India that are never going to stop with their fossil fuel, with their burning of coal. Okay, and they do represent 38% of the world. All right, now, so you have to ask yourself, what type of destruction? Because why is the current administration not producing oil? Why are they not doing what is best for America? It's a question you got to ask, because there is certainly a reason behind it, and it cannot be that it's not because of the environment. It cannot be, because we are still burning fuel in record numbers. Okay, so why wouldn't we want to be a net exporter? I mean, you have to ask the serious question. Maybe you don't want to ask the tough questions, but they have to be asked, because this is a sure path for America to destruction. This is a destruction of the American way. Okay, this is a destruction of capitalism. This is a destruction of American independence. Okay, and this is playing right into the hands of China. Okay, so are we ready to be overrun and taken over by China? I think it's something that you have to ask yourself. I think that you have to wonder in this country what the hell they're possibly doing here. I think you have to wonder where are Americans' best interests being served. Something to think about, something for you to think about. In the meantime, interesting fact of the week, Nancy Pelosi's husband got caught for DUI. And isn't it amazing how everybody in the world's video of a DUI gets released, but yet they won't release Paul Pelosi's DUI arrest? Interesting. Oh, always something new to deal with here with the imbeciles that run our country. And again, I really can't call them imbeciles. I think they're intentionally destroying this country. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. Todd Bubba Horwitz. We're going to step out of a break and come back with our market report right after the break. Bubba's Bottom Line. Well, kids, there's a lot of things going on in this world, and ain't none of it too good, but we still have really good relationships and good spots for you to invest and use for your money. And of course, we've got many different brokers, but we have two that we really recommend strongly. And for our futures and commodities trade, it is the Capital Trading Group, CTG for short. Nelson and Pat Laffrey over there, they do such a great job. They're partners with us on our Day Trader's Dream. But they're such a phenomenal group that they're the only ones who would allow to do what we call letter of direction trading. Check them out. Look, they take all my money. They've got some great products on their own, but check them out. info.capitaltradinggroup.com/Bubba. That's info.capitaltradinggroup.com/Bubba. And it's going along the bottom and the sides right now. You can look at it. And of course, trade your brokerage for equities and options, $10 a month flat. Okay. They're going to have cryptocurrencies. We can auto trade your portfolio in our equity model at no charge. If you want to pay a licensing fee, you can trade your hedging model, okay, automatically. And traders $10 a month flat no matter what you do. Okay. And they're going to have cryptocurrencies. Check them out. Try.trader.com/Bubba. That's try.trader.com/Bubba. And of course, our high school program, if you want to help us out, just go to Patreon. And that would be patreon.com/Bubba Trading. That's patreon.com/Bubba Trading. And all of them are scrolling on the sides and the back. Now let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line. And of course, hour market update. Welcome back. It is Sunday, June the 12th. And of course, here we are with our market update. And the markets got barbecued last week. They got beefcake, we'll call them. All right. Now, unfortunately, we were long most of the week. And we got slammed with them. Okay. Again, this is what I was worried about a couple of weeks ago when the signal started to switch. And I said, I'm going to switch them, but I'm not really a big fan. Okay. Because again, you kind of see this happening, and it happened a little bit faster than, as always, it happens a little bit faster than anybody thinks. Okay. However, it is what it is. And we don't go back and say, well, woulda, coulda, shoulda. We just go forward. Okay. So now we're going to be tonight or tomorrow, depending on when you do it, we'll be short a lot of things, and we'll be starting to move things around. We're going to be reversing gold to the long side, but still saying short silver. But anyways, there'll be a bunch of changes either tonight or tomorrow morning, depending on when you do them, if you're part of the team. But we have some interesting dynamics happening in markets, and I think that, they're breaking down. Okay. And of course, I think we're headed for another major meltdown. As I've said in the past, I believe we're headed for a 40 to 60% haircut in this market, maybe more. Okay. Again, I don't think it can be avoided. I think that this is exactly what we're getting, what we deserve based on the way we've handled everything. Okay. In the meantime, the Dow, the S&P, the NASDAQ, and the Russell all got punished last week. Now, there's probably in the next day or two a big rip your face off rally coming, which is natural in bear markets. Again, I warn you about that all the time. And we are coming. We are at some pretty major support. Now we're in a downtrend, so that the support is not as important if it wasn't an uptrend. However, it is at a major level of support, and I would be very careful down here. I'd love to see that big spike rally because I'd like to sell at some higher prices as well. But we will be short all but the Russell after tomorrow. Okay. Gold and silver kind of went opposite ways. Silver was pretty flat. Gold had a little bit of a bounce, and Friday kind of triggered. It looked ugly Friday, and then suddenly they turned and they rallied, which triggered a reversal. Russell will be reversing either again tonight or tomorrow. No, to me, it's not a final score. We could go either way. We're still kind of chopping around, but the algorithm triggered a signal. So there, I'll continue to watch, and we'll carry our current positions. Bonds and notes got hammered. Okay, and look, at the end of the day, we expect that. We expect to see much higher interest rates as this current administration continues their destruction of America. Okay, along with the rising price in crude and in natural gas, which we are still long both. Again, this is just it is almost treasonous the way it's being treated. Okay, again, you can argue with me at that point, but I think that it's on the borderline of treason as they continue to destroy our opportunity, especially when we have full control of our own natural resources. In the meantime, we'll remain long. In the dollar is higher, which we are short. Actually, we're going to reverse the dollar to long. Okay, but we were short. The grain markets. Well, actually, copper is getting a little bit hammered, and we're still long. Okay, in the grain markets, kind of mixed picture, but working higher. And again, we're short corn, we're short wheat, but I do think that they're going higher. And I didn't like being short them, but again, I'm going to follow the rules because again, there can be some gyrations before they go higher, but I do think they're going higher. But we're short at the moment. The protein complex, kind of a mixed bag. We're long the cattle and short the hogs. Again, I think it's reversed. But again, I don't argue with the methods, but I think it should be reversed because I think that cattle is going to be a problem as crude oil goes higher. But again, we'll see. I can't see the future, so I won't even try to predict it. Bitcoin has been in this languishing pattern. There's a lot of negative talk about Bitcoin, which leads me to believe that it's probably going to have ready to start to go higher again. And I'd look for opportunities to potentially be a buyer. Now, we're still short. And in the softs department, cotton was flat to higher last week, and we're short. Sugar, we're reversed to short. Cocoa, we're still short. Coffee, we're long. Okay. And OJ, we're long. So, look, at the end, we'll see where the picture plays. We'll see how it trades out. But commodities should be a benefactor of this overall market we have coming up, these conditions, because they're pretty bad. Okay. And again, with what's going on, should see equities start to plummet, and that money's going to go somewhere, and typically it will go into the commodity space. In the meantime, excuse me, let's step out of here for our final break and come back with, of course, our commentary, which we do each and every week. This is Bubba's Bottom Line Sunday, June the 12th, the 14th, June the 12th, and we'll be right back with more of Bubba's Bottom Line after this. All right, kids, I'm not going to go through all the stuff. On the bottom and on the sides are our sponsors. Please check them out. These are done for your benefit as well. I mean, these are people that I've vetted, that I use myself. I have other brokers, but they're guys that I use that I believe are best for all of us. Okay. Otherwise, I wouldn't recommend them. Okay. So check them out. If you don't, well, again, there's no big deal. If you want to, great. If not, hey, it's Capital Trader Group, Trader Brokerage, and of course, our high school program. Let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line for our commentary. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, June the 12th. And of course, I always have something to say, and we have this now. If you're a golf fan, or if you've been following, you have the PGA Tour and the LIV Tour, which is sponsored by Saudi Arabia, which is run by Greg Norman. Okay. Now, there's a big hullabaloo, and of course, guys who left the PGA to go play in LIV, listen, Phil Mickelson got $200 million guaranteed. Dustin Johnson got $125,000. Bryson DeChambeau $125 million. Bryson DeChambeau $100 million. Do you think that they should change for life-changing money? There's the human rights of Saudi Arabia is what they're talking about, and they're worried about the way that Saudi Arabia does business and all of these problems. And I go, well, that's all well and good. Okay, but what about the NBA and China? Now, the NBA and the Actors Guild of America stood mute when China was running Hong Kong out. Okay, we stand mute on the worst human rights in the world in China. Okay, and making fortunes, making dollar after dollar off of the Chinese. Okay. So what is the difference between the NBA and the PGA? Well, one of the differences is that, of course, the PGA is a much more exclusive group, right? The PGA is in trouble, I think. I think that they've played this very poorly. I mean, and I'm not a fan. Listen, I'd prefer that they did not allow these guys to play, but you cannot stop them. And certainly people are not going to go for life-changing money. Okay. I think that the PGA has got its own internal problems, kind of like the NBA. Okay, the NBA is, they're more concerned about the money than they are about human rights, and the PGA is more concerned about the look. Okay, the look of the wealthy. Basically, golf is a sport that still is a little bit more for the those who have some dough versus those who don't. Okay, a little stodgy. And I think they're making a big mistake here. This is, threatening guys who are going to make life-changing money. Look, I'm not a fan. I do not like Saudi Arabia. I think they're one of our enemies, not an ally. I think they stick it up our ass every time they get a chance. Okay, they have horrible human rights. But again, I think China is worse. And so I think America, we need to get our priorities straight from the inside out. And not, try to highlight these little independent areas and put it out of the way to justify the actions they take. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, the 12th of June. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you back here tomorrow with another Bubba's Day update. But in the meantime, enjoy, have a great week, and we'll see you later.